Hello, and welcome back to Self Care in the City. This is the podcast where we explore what it means to really look after ourselves in the middle of the busy lives that we've got. I'm your host, Chantel, founder of the ThriveWell Hub, and every episode I sit down with fascinating people to me who are keep helping us think differently about well-being, not just as something that we do, but as a way we actually live. So today's guest is someone I had the pleasure of meeting through our recent Unmasked men's well-being event. While many of you may not know his name yet, I have a feeling you'll remember the conversation. So Jamin DeMarco joins me from Ireland. I'm so excited. Hi, Jamin.
Hey, Chantel. Yeah, lovely to be here.
Excellent. You're a transformational coach, a facilitator, and a therapist in training. Is that correct?
Yeah, I work with psychedelics mostly at the moment, actually. But yeah, I've trained in psychotherapy, coaching, and group facilitation up until this point.
Perfect. So today isn't really about techniques or therapy. It's about human being behind this work. We want to find out about you. So, Jamin, welcome to Self Care in the City. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So, before we dive deeper into the good stuff, where in Ireland are you joining us from today?
Oh, we're down in the south coast, Cork County, West Cork, and we're at this little off-grid kind of cabin we're building at the moment. So
you're building a cabin.
Yeah. So very busy. We got running water last week. So that was really exciting.
So how long do you think it will take before you actually finish this cabin?
Maybe another 6 months of graft, and we should be there.
Oh my God. That's so exciting, to building your own little space. This for like the summer getaways, holidays, things like that, or actually a place where you want to end up living eventually?
No, our full-time, we live here already. We're just kind of working around ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Well, congratulations to you on doing that. It's something that I probably would never, ever attempt because, first of all, I'm not that handy. but yeah, that sounds absolutely beautiful. So then I guess I was going to ask, like, what does a typical day look like for you these days? And it sounds like a lot of it is working on the house.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time I've opened my laptop in about 6 weeks' time. we've been putting our heads down. It's been, up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working till 10 o'clock at night, basically for 6 weeks solid now. So, but I love it. I get to be creative. We're in nature. We have a beautiful stream next to us. We're surrounded by trees that I planted about 5 or 6 years ago that are all growing quite big. You can see them all around me, actually. So this feels like the place I want to be. It just feels very nourishing.
It sounds like absolute heaven, just calm, peaceful, relaxing, anything that people would want to live within in terms of, opposite, living in a huge, busy city.
Yeah, right.
So then I guess my question is, what, if someone were to ask, so what do you do? What's your answer then?
It's something that has changed a lot, I suppose, over the last kind of 3 years of working one-on-one with people and in groups. Now I find myself working predominantly with men, which is surprising to myself, to be honest, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit in the story.
Yeah.
I'm working with them in a way that has helped me, and those two things are legal psychedelic retreats and internal family systems support. So kind of quite intense containers that I'm working with men to try and get past their protective measures, their protective layers, and get into the real them that's beneath all of that.
So goes deep into really the nub of who they are. So Jamin, then the work you do today, I guess, isn't something people usually stumble into, it sounds like. And there tends to be a story behind it. If we rewind the years and go back, who was Jamin before this work found him?
Yeah, Thanks for opening that up for me. Yeah, I think the point of change, of
Are
inflection
you
was
there?
in. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me? Hmm.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
It did drop out for a bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know what happened there.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear anything after my question. Do you want me to
Oh,
ask it
sorry.
again?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much for opening that up for me. And there was kind of a point, I suppose, of a before and after, and the year was 2021 where things really shifted for me, I suppose. Um, and the moment was I had kicked my wife out of our home,
Mm,
and in my own mind at the time, I thought that this was a doomed relationship. I put all of the issues that was in our relationship on her. I really didn't see anything from my perspective that I was doing wrong, and I was in this mixture of victim and blame, just kind of switching between those two extremes. Before that, I suppose what got to that point was when I was younger, growing up. My family broke up when I was quite young. It was quite a tumultuous upbringing with a lot of trauma, a lot of aggression, a lot of mental health issues from both of my parents. That made me crave a certain type of connection. And when I was about 14, an older woman came into my life and she took advantage of that. So I was sexually abused from the age of kind of 14 to 19 by this older woman. Um, so that being kind of the foundation, I suppose, I didn't have the skills or even the knowledge or awareness to know that I was even carrying pain. I just thought, oh, this is my life. Everyone has their own stuff. This is my stuff. Let's just get on with it. But time went on, and my protective behaviors, I mean, my addictions, my alcohol use, my isolation, pushing people away more and more, even especially the ones I suppose that I really needed in my life. I was just constantly isolating myself and backing myself into a little corner. I didn't realize that uh, what was driving a lot of my behaviors was me not wanting to feel the pain that was beneath.
mm,
So yeah, so that was the inflection point where I'd kicked my wife out of home. I'd planned this big cycle trip. I was going to cycle down West Africa for the next 6 months. I was just going to go, like literally just bolt.
mm,
Um, and then something told me that I need to look deeper at this before I make this final decision. Um, and that's where the work really started to kick off. I'd done kind of 6 months of therapy, a bit of group work, but it wasn't really connecting with the depth of what I needed.
yeah.
And that I don't think that was any shade on the therapy or the group work. It was just me. I wasn't ready. And at this point, it was my own kind of rock bottom. And I thought, well, either you do it now or you don't do it at all.
And you mentioned growing up. What did you learn about yourself back then that you realized probably just wasn't true? Because it sounds like you'd went through a lot.
Yeah, I think that I wasn't allowed to have needs. The needs were, I didn't have needs. Other people had needs. That helped, because when you're dealing with parents with serious mental health issues, their needs become priority,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the children's needs just aren't there. You're almost there to facilitate what they need. And that's a muscle that just grew. And I got myself into relationships that were very codependent, and I would give all of myself to them and not ask anything back, presume that I didn't even deserve anything. Um, and that eventually builds a resentment inside, that there's a part of me that was screaming, what about my needs? What about the things that I need to thrive, to survive? Um, that was probably the biggest one, that I don't deserve healing. I don't deserve any effort of work on myself.
Mm. That's so much that you were probably carrying at the time. And I guess still, I'm kind of back where you were previously. What
Mm.
at the time did surviving actually look like for you back then? I'm just so curious to kind of understand how you coped, how you dealt with things.
Yeah, for me it was nature. Actually, we lived. It's so funny. I've come back full circle. I was born about 2 miles down the road,
Okay.
and we had our own little forest. We had a river at the bottom of the garden, so I spent all my time in the trees or in the water. Um, I don't remember being indoors for most of my childhood because for me, the home wasn't safe. It wasn't a happy place.
Mm.
So isolation, I suppose, and the the soothing balm of nature, of being immersed in it. And I see the irony of myself being surrounded by leaves right now as I'm saying that.
And it might be ironic, but what then finally led you to seek help?
Mm. Yeah. So up until this point, I said, I kicked my wife out of the home. Um, I Up until that point, I must say, actually, my behavior towards my wife was really abusive. I was very verbally aggressive with her, quite controlling. Um, and I see now that those behaviors were coming from a place of protection. I wasn't comfortable with my own pain, so
And
I
was it
couldn't see
actually,
it.
do you think it was a little bit of anger there as well?
Anger
Anger
towards.
towards life, towards yourself. Um, I think
Hmm,
sometimes when we are young and when we grow up and we don't have the capacity to know ourselves and to really understand who we are, why things have happened, we just become a
hmm.
little bit frustrated, angry at the world, and that includes other people. Was that something that
Yeah,
you ever felt?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now you mentioned it, thank you for naming that. I felt I felt like I'd just been given bad cards, and this is what I had to live with, and it wasn't fair.
Okay.
And that definitely came out in all my relationships, and especially with my wife. I suppose I felt it wasn't fair that we were married, that I had to be married to this person.
Why
Um,
not? What was going on there?
my wife had a real connection with her inner child,
Hmm.
and it made me deeply uncomfortable because that was a place I couldn't access. So
Right.
every time that joyful creative part came out, I would feel anger and shut it down.
There's the anger.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, I think anger, if we were to look at me in those years, anger would have been the most thing that you saw. It would have been the predominant energy for sure.
So then, was healing anything like you imagined it to be? Like when you started that process, what surprised you, I guess, most about that journey?
Yeah. The thing that surprised me the most. So to answer your first question, no, I wouldn't even know what healing looked like. I mean, the concept was wild to me. Um, the most surprising thing was that there was a whole world subconsciously of joy, of creativity, of compassion that was already in there. I
Mm.
just didn't know how to access it. It wasn't even that I was learning skills necessarily. It was I was unlearning that disconnection between myself,
Isn't
the
that a
angry part of myself, and the rest.
I think it's such a beautiful thing when you finally get connected back to ourselves. And
Hmm.
that word disconnected, I think, rings true for so many
Hmm.
people, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry, carry on. How was that
No.
process, that surprise of that journey?
Yeah, what surprised me is what I needed to do to get there. So I suppose the next little part of the story, I'd been taking psychedelics. I've been taking magic mushrooms on a microdose level just to help with my addictions that were kind of getting out of control. with my anxiety and my depression. It kind of helped me stay a little bit more level, but I wasn't using it to kind of go deep. And then that evening that I was there on my own, facing kind of this junction, there's something just invited me. I heard a calling very deeply that I should go deep. So I did. I used them to go deep. And what happened then is the layers of protection between me and that pain, they just started slipping away one after the other until the point where I could really embody it and fully feel it. And then this huge catharsis just happened. I was on the floor sobbing in the most dramatic way for, I'd say, 45 minutes, retching like it was a full body letting go of all of this pain that I've been holding since birth, really.
Yeah.
Very, very old.
That's beautiful. And then where did that lead? I mean, that happened one night. It sounds like you were on your own. It sounds like you had this moment, a beautiful moment. But then what did you do? Some people would be like, okay, that was strange. I don't know what happened to me. And they kind of continue their life. Other people recognize it and say, I need to change. Where did you?
Yeah. It was, I had no option but change. Like it both gave me the insights and the awareness of what to do, and also the energy to do that. It gave me both the map and the engine to go. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the next day, I actually reconnected with my therapist. I sat in her office, and her jaw was on the floor. She said, "You look 10 years younger. What the hell happened?"
Wow.
And I told her the whole process, and she said, "You just naturally took yourself through about 5 years of therapy in one evening." So then I knew I wanted to reconnect with my wife. Sorry, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I'm just kind of going back to the mushrooms that you were
Yeah.
taking. And how did you know how much to take? How did you know that this was going to be, well, you just obviously didn't know, but you said that you were just kept doing it. I just want to understand a little bit about where you were at the time taking the mushrooms, because you said that you usually did it to stabilize yourself, but you said also that you felt you needed to do more to get to a deeper level. So how did you know how much was too much? How much would not be like hallucinogenic? Like how does that happen? I don't understand.
Yeah. Good question. Well, it was hallucinogenic. It was extremely hallucinogenic. That was kind of the point. But I knew I'd done so much research, and I kind of knew what dosage produced what effect.
Okay.
So I was always staying on the micro level, on the kind of subconscious, working away in the background, helping you get through your life kind of way. And I knew that on a higher dose that you really just deep dive into your subconscious. You connect with basically everything you're not looking at, and it comes up straight in your face. And it forces you to kind of deal with it. So I knew that was there at a certain dosage.
But then my other question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, when people actually are doing recreational mushrooms, drugs, and they do it to get that feeling, that high, that kind of moving away from themselves, I'm wondering if this happens to other people as well. They just kind of ignore. Like, I'm just curious about the experience that people might be having who are just doing it recreationally and not knowing that they're actually getting to a place of trueness about themselves. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I love that you asked that, because it's one of my favorite things about psychedelics is your intention guides the experience.
Right.
So if your intention is to have fun, to, I suppose, get lost in that world of visuals and music and just enjoy it, then that's what you'll have. If your intention is to go deep and look at these kind of shadow parts of ourselves, and that's what you'll have.
And can you explain a little bit about what that means, the shadow part, for our listeners who just have never heard that before?
Yeah, it's the hidden, I suppose. For me, it was my hidden pain. It was even my hidden need and desire to have a close relationship.
Mm.
And actually, in that, there was a hidden desire to be a father that I had no connection with. I was actually the opposite of that at the time. So yeah, the shadow is yeah the bits of us that we aren't looking at that are there in the shadows.
Right. Okay. So I want to then, and I don't know if I'm jumping around your story or not, but I
Work
really
away.
want to kind of talk a little bit about the work that you do now, if that's
Yeah.
all right. You often talk about the different parts of ourselves.
Hmm.
To just explain. And for anyone hearing that phrase for this first time, you've said kind of what that means, that shadow work. But why do
Mm.
you think so many of us are feel different or feel like different people, depending on
Mm.
who we are or who we're with?
Yeah, nice. I follow the framework of internal family systems
Okay.
quite. Yeah, it's more of
Ah,
a philosophy than a technique, I suppose.
okay.
And that was discovered late 80s, early 90s by a guy called Richard Schwartz. And he found in his clients that they would speak about these different parts of them. Um, like, I suppose we all can connect with that a little bit. Let's say we when we're with certain people we feel energized and we feel ourselves and we feel flowy, and then we're with a different group we feel maybe a bit reserved and we're super
Yeah.
conscious of what we're talking about.
Oh, yes, I know
So it
exactly.
feels like, yeah, it feels like we've got almost two different kind of opposing personalities inside us.
Yeah.
And we actually have many of these sub personalities within us. And the work is to kind of differentiate between these sub personalities and speak to them directly to find out what their story is. Because each one of these parts of us has its own perspective, its own understanding, its own history. And I'll just speak very quickly. That sounds a little mad, I know.
She's going to
But
ask.
yeah, but when, let's say, something traumatic happens. Okay, let's give an example of maybe you're 5 years old. You have a need you have a need for comfort in a moment when your parents are arguing, and in that moment, your parents are so fixated on each other and
Yeah.
their argument that that need isn't met. So for you to protect yourself, that pain would be quite overwhelming for a 5 year old to know that their comfort is not connected with. So your body, your system naturally kind of puts that pain in a little box somewhere so it doesn't overwhelm the system. Now, if the parents then finished the argument, came to the child and said, "We're really sorry, like, what do you need?" and then gave her that comfort, then they could take that off the box and let that pain be released. I'm simplifying this massively, but it's just
Yeah.
an idea.
Okay.
If the conditions aren't there for that pain to ever be healed by caretakers and environment, it stays on the box. And our system naturally doesn't want anyone to touch that pain.
Mm.
So it sets up a little protective measure. And our aggression, our addictions, our distractions, our kind of, striving for more are all protective measures for our system to not look at that pain. And that pain can be small or it can be large. And the more moments in our life where this pain is touched, the kind of deeper it gets ingrained into our system as a place that needs to be protected. Does that make sense?
It does. And then, so you're saying that through your work, I'm just kind of putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
The psychedelics are
Mm.
used to help bridge those gaps and learn
Mhm.
about how to deal with oneself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Could
And what,
you explain? Yeah, could you explain more about how you actually do this?
yeah. Yes. The one concept of this parts work that I didn't mention is we have what's called a self in IFS. It's the us that is here that was always there beneath the pain. So let's say nothing ever happened to us.
Mm.
We had a great childhood and a fantastic adulthood. That's who we would be. We'd be like curious, connected, playful. We'd be just flowy and a joy to be around.
Mm.
Um, that is always there within us. That's never gone away. It's just these layers have been placed on top.
Yeah.
what psychedelics do, and what we can do as well, kind of within the talk side of things. It doesn't need to be psychedelics; it's just a much stronger way, a quicker way of getting there.
Okay.
Is it removes those layers,
Yeah.
and it brings you into that place of self where you feel connected with everything. You feel playful. You feel curious. You feel confident, compassionate. You feel like your best self.
And you've seen this happen. You've seen this with subjects that you've used. I mean, I know you've seen it with yourself, but I think you had gone through therapy enough to be able to do this to yourself. But on others, you've actually seen that really can happen.
Oh, it's amazing. It can happen in 5 or 10 minutes.
What?
It's crazy.
How it's interesting you talking about this, because I knew somebody who always was very much in their head about their past, and they were scared of life and they hated life, and the only way that they felt they could get through life was through psychedelics. But it took them to a place that was calming for them, that was more clear, and I don't know how to explain it when they were talking to me about it. So, but they always missed that. I think it was during a time in their life that they really had, and it wasn't. They weren't doing it on purpose. They were actually going out. They were friends. They were partying, and they were doing these drugs. And it was so. But the space that person got to was like such a euphoric state, but they never got healed. Don't using that word, and they still to this day are in a really difficult place. So I guess there needs to be a guide, obviously, to really help them. And I guess that's why I find it so interesting that this could be done in 5 minutes to help somebody make a change. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, and when I was saying about 5 or 10 minutes, you can get to that place of self, of that kind of that connective, confident part of you. And that's kind of obviously best case scenario. Some people can really disconnect from their protective parts and their hurt parts and sit into that place really easily with someone to facilitate. Some people, it takes time to warm up the system. It might take weeks or months, But I have seen it with people that are kind of just ready to go and their system is lined up for that, and the change has been before your very eyes in very little time. It's mad.
I mean, how rewarding that must be for you to be as someone working with this and see that and see a beautiful change in someone.
Yeah. And I guess can I tell? Sorry.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I was just going to... Sorry. I was just going to tell you a story that kind of blew my mind really early on. As I was working with a client, they were in their kind of late 50s. They'd had some serious birth trauma, which left them with a real disability. And we were working together, and in the process, they felt their body releasing. So like we were working with a part, but they're often connected with their physiology as well. So she felt something in her shoulder just release and relax. And we came out of the session, and I just asked her how everything is going. And she said, I feel like this thing in my shoulder has finally let go. And I said, how long have you had that for? She said, 56 years. And we worked together for half an hour. So it's amazing. I'm not saying this happens to everyone, but it's like these are some moments where I'm thinking, flipping hell, this is powerful stuff.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Do you just do one-on-one, or do you ever do retreats, or do you ever do group sessions with people, or is this strictly something like that just needs to be personalized?
Yeah, for the IFS work, I do one-on-one. I can do it on Zoom or in person. For the psychedelic work, one-on-one as well, but I have a co-facilitator. And we can do small groups. I used to run an IFS community that helped people kind of learn to do this themselves, because that's the thing that excites me about this as well. Is it's a skill that we can learn, that we can then be our own therapists. We just need to learn the map, the territory, and then we can take ourselves through it. So it's not like a dependence that's built on. You're not in therapy for the next 10 years of your life.
I love that. I love that. So a lot of your work, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you mentioned this earlier, has involved supporting men.
Mm.
And what do you think men are quietly carrying at the moment that perhaps isn't being talked about enough? I know what we had
Mm.
masked. That some really great stories have come out of that. What do you think that isn't being talked
Mm. I think buckets of pain. I think I see so much pain beneath a protective. Like when I say protective, it sounds like I'm saying it in a positive way, and it obviously can be positive. But what I'm saying is protecting the vulnerability from the outside world. That kind of protection, you know. I'd rather have a few pints with you and chat about sports than speak about anything deeper than that. Or I'd rather just bury my head in work than sit down on a park bench and have a heart to heart with my mates. You know, that kind of protective.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't know why we are where we are, but there doesn't seem to be as much space or comfort in connecting with those vulnerable aspects of ourselves as men. Obviously, that there's some great work being done. There's some great men's groups, and I love what's happening in the space, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And you know, you've got a huge part to play in that as well, which is fantastic. Um, but I think even just accepting and even vocalizing these vulnerabilities that, of course, we all share.
yeah. And that's the thing. I don't think men realize that their vulnerabilities, they can be sharing them and it's okay to share them. And that's, I'm really trying with Unmasked to build that space because you're
Mm,
absolutely right. There's great work that's done. But when I'm speaking to a lot of people, they have said, oh, I get my mental wellness from going to the gym, from working out, for sitting with the guys, having a pint. And,
yeah,
we might not talk about stuff, but we're together and that makes me feel better. But
yeah,
they're really not getting to the nub of actually how are they doing mentally? Like, how are they
mm,
coping? I hate the word coping, but you understand what I'm
mm,
saying. Exactly what you
yeah.
said, giving them that space to really be vulnerable. And I think what happens, or what do you think happens when men finally feel safe enough to tell the truth? What have you seen?
Mm. Relief, I think. It's just like a full body relief. I can express this and I won't be judged by it. I like this can be held by someone in presence with me, and I can hold it for myself as well. It's almost like I don't want to overstate it, but it feels sacred, you know, when someone actually lets go and it's is comfortable with you even witnessing that. That's a privilege. It's huge.
It's huge, I know, right? So I guess another area I wanted to ask you about was success. Um, can ambition ever become a form of self abandonment?
Mm. Yeah. Wow. That's a huge question.
It probably
I
is quite huge, but I think you're the guy that can actually answer it.
I th- I think it's like the psychedelic experience to a certain extent, where the intention sets it. So, and to be aware of what your intention is needs a huge amount of awareness actually. So, why am I climbing the corporate ladder? Do I really need more money, or is there an insecurity that I'm not willing to connect with here? I don't want to look at that part of me that says I need to be more to be valuable. So I'm just going to do the being more to be valuable thing. I don't want to know why that's there, but it's there. Um,
It's coming back to that disconnect that you talked about,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
That disconnect, and I think that if we had a pill or something to help people realize, oh, I mean, it can't be a pill because it happens in childhood, obviously, but something to really sense in people, you're disconnected from yourself, and that's not
mm-hmm.
healthy, And I guess what's the difference between high performance and healthy performance? That's
Mm,
something that I think really is what's going on here, where
yeah,
people are thinking, oh, high performance, go, 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 do, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. but is that healthy? Is that is
Mm.
that really benefiting someone?
Yeah, it can be, and it just it depends so much on the personal experience. But yeah, when you said like a pill to bring that kind of awareness, um, I was told by many friends, Jamin, you're on a really bad path here. Like, what are you doing? And I
Mm,
was told that for years. It's just I wasn't ready to really look at it myself. So I thought, oh, no, that's your perspective. That's not. I don't see that. I'm doing fine. It's all good. It's all good. As everything was crashing down, but around me. And I think there's just I suppose there's a patience that we need to have with each other. That when the time is right, then they'll be drawn to speaking about it and maybe getting some help with whatever they need. But when we do this work for ourselves and we feel such relief, it's such a natural thing to, I suppose, preach it to those around us, thinking that us telling them will help them. If they're not ready for that, then it doesn't actually help.
it won't land. They have to be
No.
ready. I've always said you have to be ready. Listen, I have, I think this is going to be my last question, one of my favorite questions to ask.
Okay.
If you could sit down with your younger self,
Hmm.
or younger version of yourself, the
Yeah.
one who was simply just trying to survive, what would you want him to know?
Hmm. At this stage in my life, I feel like mistakes are just beautiful opportunities to learn. And younger part of me would have seen mistakes as catastrophic failures and huge, a huge marring of his own understanding of himself. Like he would have hated himself for the mistakes that he made.
Mm,
So I think if I could have learned that early, that every mistake is just a nice opportunity to learn, and we're all here to grow. Like that's the whole, for me, the whole reason we're on this earth is just to learn.
yeah.
That would have changed everything for me.
I love that. Listen, I do have a couple more questions now that you kind of stirred my brain. So we're not ending yet. Um, I want to know, is there a book that's had a big impact on you?
Mm. I think No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz, who wrote, he discovered IFS.
Okay.
Um, it just gives you a whole new awareness of your behaviors and your thoughts. I think we naturally attach ourselves to our thoughts and behaviors. Like, I am this. Oh, wait, I'm this today, but I was that yesterday. Like, who am I? But seeing what's going on beneath the surface, that awareness gives us so much choice when it comes to our behaviors and our actions.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Okay. My other question is, what does thriving mean to you today since we're the ThriveWell Hub? I thought I'd put that in.
Mm. Um, really enjoying isn't a strong enough word. Like relishing the present moment.
Yeah.
If
You see that you're
no
doing that
matter what,
in the car. Just
yeah,
in the trees. You're just relishing just being there. I love that.
I do. Yeah, and even if I mean, our situation has been brutal at times. I've lived in some horrific situations, and in those situations, you can still relish the present moment. It's not determined by your surroundings. It's not determined by the people you're with, or how much money you have, or how I suppose how your needs are met in that moment.
Right.
You can connect with just an enjoyment. Okay, I have this moment.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, this is going to be my last question then. If someone, well, I want it to be my last question, but then I also want you to fill in where
Mm,
someone can connect with you if
sure.
they really have resonated with anything that you've said today. So if someone listening today feels successful on paper, but actually
Mm.
disconnected from themselves, where would you suggest they begin?
Where do I suggest they begin? Mm, that's an interesting question. I don't know this for sure, but we are all maybe aware of the bits of us that we don't want to look at. You know, it's like, oh, when it comes up, I feel like that's the key, is to actually just look at that, kind of step towards the parts of us that make us really uncomfortable about ourselves, and
And I think
that's the access.
yeah, you're so right about that. It's hard to do, really difficult to
Yeah,
do. So
yeah,
where
yeah.
somebody wanted to talk to you more about this,
Mm,
about doing that, about how to start really looking at those parts, even though they might not want to. Why would they want to? First of all, why would somebody listening say, "Oh gosh,
mm,
they're terrible parts of me"? Why would I want to do that?
mm. Well, the title of that book is No Bad Parts. So all of these parts are they are doing a job that at one point was very useful for our survival. It just is not that useful anymore. It's creating more issues than good at the moment.
Ah, yes,
Um,
okay,
it's so varied. I suppose I only really have my own experience, and it took me to the point of losing everything to finally get help. I don't want anyone to be in that place, but if you're curious about I think connection is a really cool word that you used. If you're feeling, I suppose, disconnected from your life, that would
yeah,
be a good example of,
yeah,
okay, maybe there's something to look into. That's just what's coming up for me now, and it's not exhaustive.
yeah. And
Mm.
how can they connect with you? Was my other question.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love just to put my phone number and get people to call me, but I know that would cause me all sorts of issues down the line, scammers and the
No,
lot.
no phone
Um,
numbers.
so I suppose LinkedIn is a good way to connect with me. I can even put my email. I'll put my work email. Maybe
Okay.
we could link that.
Yeah,
If people just
I'll
want
add
to
it.
reach
I'll
out.
add it to this live. When people can read through it, they can also look at your email. But definitely, everyone, LinkedIn, Jamin DeMarco. Am I saying your name wrong? I probably am. Yamin or Jamin?
Jamin. It's everyone
Jamin.
gets it wrong. It's all good.
So Jamin, Jamin DeMarco, DeMarco. You can look him up on LinkedIn, and yeah, you can connect with me, and we can pass his email to you if you do want
Okay.
to explore anything
Yeah.
more with him.
Yeah.
So,
One other thing, actually, I'm just finishing up kind of a personality assessment tool
okay,
called "Who Are You Protecting?" and it just helps people see what their protective measures might be, even if they don't feel like they're in that kind of protective space.
yeah,
So I can send you a link to that, and or
that'd be
people can reach out
fantastic.
to me if they want a link.
Yeah, I definitely would love to see that and share that with our listeners, our viewers, even our readers for Mindful
Mm.
Matters. So please do send that. Everyone, just contact me if you want to find out more. So listen, Jamin, um, thank you so much for sharing your story so openly with us today. I know there will be people listening who will have heard parts of themselves in what you've shared, and I
Mm.
really, really, really appreciate your honesty.
Mm.
So we've
Thanks,
already
Sean.
talked about where people can contact you, and do you have a website, by the way?
It's under construction at the moment, so yeah,
Okay,
I'm too busy building houses instead of building websites.
fair enough. You'll get to that house another few months, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
we did say LinkedIn. We did say through this podcast, and yeah, connect with me, and I can connect you with Jam. I keep getting it wrong
That's okay. It's all
in
good.
my mind now. How to say it? But finally, if is there anything else you've got coming up that you'd like our listeners to know about? Any workshops, programs, other projects you're excited to share?
I suppose kind of beginning of September, I'll be running one-on-one legal psychedelic experiences in the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
So if
Where?
you're interested in that, not too far from Amsterdam.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, then we can have a discussion whether, I mean, that there's some things that would make people unsuitable. It's not for everyone, so we could
Yeah.
even just open up that conversation if anyone's curious. Or, I mean, I can talk about psychedelics all day. So if people just want to ask me questions about the space, I'd be more than happy to help.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, for everyone listening, if you've enjoyed today's conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with someone who you think might even need it or need to hear it. Until next time, remember that self care isn't something just about doing more, it's about coming home to yourself. So take care, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks, Jamin.
Thank you so much.
Bye.